Constable Dabbit. Galliano Island is one of the southern Gulf Islands, and it's located just to the sort of north of Main Island, east of Salt Spring Island. So it's kind of halfway between Vancouver and Victoria. And full-time population is probably between 1,000 to 1,200. Some weekends in the summertime it goes up over 3,000. I've always been attracted to the sort of job that it is, to be able to help people to do the right thing. But also I think because I'm really stubborn, and when I was younger everybody used to say to me that I was a girl and I was short so I couldn't do it. So that just made me even more stubborn, so I dug my heels in and thought, I'll show them. So I went in and did it, and I absolutely love it. I've never had the sense that being female has ever stood in my way. It just makes me more stubborn. That's probably one of the traits that I have that carries me through everything. It just makes me not give up. I refuse to give up.
I respect a female as much as a male police officer. And they have the same training, so what's the difference?
I think maybe some of the women on the community might find her easier to talk to, so she might get approached more often for some things.
I didn't grow up in a small town. Actually, I grew up in Toronto, so this is about as far away from where I grew up as you could possibly get. The training prepared me somewhat for the life on the island, but for the most part, what I've learned here. I don't mind being the only police officer on the island. It doesn't really bother me. The community is very supportive. I really enjoy that everybody waves at me and everybody smiles at me, so I'm finding I'm really enjoying that part of it. I miss some parts of being in a bigger place, the sort of camaraderie of hanging out with the guys and having coffee and joking around at 4 o'clock in the morning because you're all so tired. But I miss that part of it because I was really close with the guys I used to work with. But I've also made some really nice friends here, really good friends, people that are there for me, and I do have coffee in the morning, so it's not a bad thing. My daily routine changes somewhat from day to day. It depends on if I'm going to be doing a day shift or a night shift. Normally, if I'm working a day shift, the first thing I do is go down to the local bakery and have my coffee with the locals, which is actually a really important part of my day for me. It just gives me a chance to connect with the community. I hear about all the stuff that's going on. If people need to get hold of me, they know that's pretty much where I am. So it's not unusual to, halfway through coffee to have someone come in and just tell me that they need to talk to me when I'm done. I carry my pager everywhere, whether I'm jogging, walking, sleeping, swimming. I have my pager with me. Well, I wrote an article in the August edition of the Active page, just basically asking people to sort of respect my off-duty times and my off times. I really actually like that the community feels they can come talk to me and that I'm accessible. My police station and the house are 10 feet apart at most, and what ends up happening is people come into the driveway at all hours of the day and night. If they don't see the light on in the office, then they come right to the door.
That's kind of funny as far as the community respecting her off hours, because as I read that article, I had actually drove by her place months ago and thinking, I really need to talk to her about something. Maybe I should just stop in. And then when I read that, it was like, oh, I'm so glad I didn't.
Like if it was an emergency, no problem, come to the door. If that's the fastest thing to do to get help, I totally understand that. But when you're coming just to make inquiries or coming at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning to ask me about voting regulations, it gets to be frustrating. 9 times out of 10, the stuff people come to the door for aren't emergencies, and there's stuff that could wait. I think maybe sometimes people don't realize that I have a life. And being single is one of the things where everyone else has always had a family, so they figure that they have stuff to do. And I think part of it is that because my boyfriend isn't here all the time, and they just figure that, what could I possibly do that's so interesting that they can't come over with a problem? Sometimes I just really want to lie down, read a book, or take the dog for a walk, or just lie on my deck without worrying that someone's going to come in. I feel I can be a member of the community, but in some ways there's also a limit. I went to the Lion Seafood dinner, which is just a really nice affair, lots of food, and everybody gets dressed up, and I wore a dress, and I think people just freaked right out. They didn't know what to expect. Where's your gun? What are you doing? But for the most part, I get to be a member of the community, and I like that people make me feel welcome to be a part of it. Nobody makes me feel like an outcast here, so it's very hard not to become personally involved. And every time somebody passes away on the island, or there's, you know, an incident where there's a sudden death, every time I get that call, I you know, you freeze up and you think, you know, what if it's somebody I know? It's very hard because you do go to those calls.
She, you know, lives her job, and she takes it very seriously.
I didn't really come here with the plan to leave, you know, like a lasting monument to anyone, whether it was to me or the force or anything.
I've heard that she's working on a skate park for the young people of the island, and I think that's great. It's something that she's going to leave behind after she goes on to her next post, which I think she probably will.
I think it's more important to leave the community with maybe a sense of what you want to accomplish or you hope for that community. I don't know necessarily that it's something tangible.
Idealistically, I could say she provides kind of a moral rudder for this crazed ship called Galiano Island.
On Galiano, you get moved after 3 years because you are the only policeman on the island. You are on call 24 hours a day. You're on call 7 days a week. Every minute that I'm on the island, if something happens, I have to go. I really enjoy my time here. I enjoy being away from everything. I enjoy the outdoors of it, and I enjoy this sort of solitude. So it'll be hard to leave.